right, FightHype.com here with undefeated super welterweight in the biggest fight of his career next Saturday at the MGM Grand Garden in Las Vegas. Benavidez Plant is the main event, but he'll be facing fellow undefeated top prospect Jesus Ramos in that pay-per-view card. Joey, man, but before we get to boxing, this is a huge day for you in your life. Why is that? Go ahead and tell us why.
We've been out here in Vegas doing camp for a couple weeks now, and my daughter and wife come in tonight, so I was just telling Sean off camera. So I've been counting down the minutes till my daughter's able to get out here and my wife, so I'm looking forward to seeing them tonight. So they were supposed to be in here a little earlier, but they actually had a 3-hour flight delay, so they are going to get here at like 8:30 tonight. So I'm over the moon about that. I'm pretty excited. So
over the moon, but not surprised by the flight delay, probably.
No, not surprised. No, that stuff, I feel like that's my luck. So I gotta just wait it out now, but it'll be soon. Now,
Joey, this is a tremendous fight on this pay-per-view, and mature young man at 22, already married, got a child on the way. You like to hunt out in the wilderness back home in Michigan. How much are you going to need every bit of that savagery, that hunter that goes in the wilderness, and that maturity in this fight?
Yeah, I think that's why I wanted this fight, is because it's going to bring that out of me, and we're going to have to definitely be on our P's and Q's, and I feel like I'm going to rise to the occasion, and I feel like I'm going to bring everything that I need to bring to the fight. And that's one thing that people who know me know that I do. I rise to the occasion. My focus allows me to do that, and so I believe I'll have everything I need and more.
Will you show more than you've ever shown in this fight, and do you need to win this fight?
I think so, and I think that he needs to too. I think that we both need to bring more than what we've brought to the table in the past to beat each other. And I think that I'm going to. I feel like I'm going to have to, because he's gonna bring it out of me. He's gonna draw it out of me. And the thing is that I don't feel like I have to think too much about that. It's just gonna happen, because he's gonna bring that intensity out of me, and he's gonna bring the skill set that I need to bring to the table out of me. And I'm gonna assess that on the night, and I'm gonna pull out what I need to pull out to get the victory, to get the win.
How do you see the pace in this fight going? Because you're a guy who likes to be very economical and slow it down. But then you said he might bring it out of you, and we've seen guys like Tank Davis won't throw a lot of punches, but then against a Leo Santa Cruz, the work rate goes up. So what's the pace going to look like in this fight, you think?
Well, it's because you do what you have to do to win, and that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to do whatever I have to do to win. If he hits me twice, I'm going to hit him 3 times, and that's the way it has to be, because I got to win this fight. So I feel like it'll be as fast or as slow as what he decides to make it.
Yeah, because that's a big question going into this fight, I think, is do you slow it down, or do you just go punt, pick the pace up, since he wants to do that?
We'll just have to see. We'll just have to see what he brings to the table, what I bring to the table on the night, and I think a lot will be determined, and once we get in there and we feel each other out and see what the other guy wants to do, I'm going to adjust. So it just depends. It really more depends on him, because I'm prepared for all circumstances. I'm prepared for everything, so we'll see.
What's your thoughts on Ramos? He on paper maybe a little bigger with the reach and things like that. Throws a lot of punches. What do you think of Ramos?
I think Ramos is a good fighter. I think he does well in adjusting during his fights. I feel like he's got a good boxing IQ. You've seen him fight several different styles in his last few fights, and he's been able to adjust well in all of them and get the win. So that is a great trait of any fighter, is to be able to adjust on the fly and pull out wins. Maybe not with your plan A, but with your plan B. That's a great asset. And so I think that he's very good. I respect his boxing mind. I think I think that's his best trait.
What makes you the better fighter heading into Saturday night, Joey?
Yeah, I think that I've said this all along. I think that I'm a better athlete than he's faced before. But we'll see how that plays out. In reality, a lot of this is going to come down to adjustments. I feel like when we get in there and we see what the other guy brings, he's going to see what I bring, and he's going to have to adjust, and I'm going to see what he brings, and I might have to adjust. So I feel like this is going to be one of those types of fights. It's not going to be, I feel like, some one-sided fight where I feel like there's going to be changes in in momentum throughout the fight. And I feel like that's what's going to make it such a good matchup and such a good fight.
Do you feel like the and I imagine you're not too worried about public opinion, but do you feel like you're the underdog heading into this fight based on how the public's feeling?
Probably slightly. Probably. I know I have people riding for me. I've seen that. But I know a lot of people are riding for him and think that he's going to win, and then some people are completely underestimating me. And yeah, like you said, I don't really read too much into that. That's one thing that was, a blessing about turning pro young is basically being able to tune out all that noise early on, because when you come into the sport young, you really care about what people are saying on social media and what people are thinking. I don't care anything about that now. I've learned a lot about the sport too, as I've studied it, in the way that people are able to surprise people, and you're only as good as your last fight. So at the end of the day, the boxing fans have been wrong many, many times, and then they have to eat their words. And that's not why I'm doing it, but it's just a fact. That's what a lot of times people will have this overwhelming pick, that people think that a fight is going to go a certain way, that there's no other way around it, and that's not always how it goes. So, Caleb Plant, he's in the main event, right? People said he didn't have any power and he was a pillow puncher one fight ago, right? People aren't saying that anymore. That's the way that the game works, so you can't really put too much into it. That's what fans are supposed to do. They're supposed to give their opinions. They're supposed to debate. That's what makes things exciting. So that doesn't mean that anybody has to be right. At the end of the day, we're the ones who have to go out there and prove it. We have to go out there. Everything else is noise. Me and Ramos have to get in there, and we have to throw down for 10 rounds, and we got to see who the best is, and that'll determine which fans are right. Extra
chip on your shoulder though, heading into the fight?
I've always got a chip on my shoulder, but
I feel it a little bit right now.
I've always got a chip on my shoulder, but that's because
Why is that?
My daughter.
An extra motivation there with her. But you were mentored at a young age by great fighters in the game like Andre Ward.
Yeah.
And has he reached out to you, or have you?
I haven't spoken to him before this fight. No.
What do you take from him though that he did teach you throughout the years into a fight like this?
Yeah, Andre Ward is always my biggest boxing inspiration. Is witnessing that was something that forever changed my life. And that's the reason why I train year round. That's the reason why I don't drink. That's the reason why I don't smoke. That's the reason why I push myself to the limit in training and hold myself to a standard of discipline that is above average because of what I saw in him. He was like a superhero in my eyes, in that gym. Still is, and because of what he didn't just accomplish things based on his athletic talent. He accomplished things based on his focus and his discipline that exceeded what was the norm, and I pride myself on sharing that same level, I can't say same level because he is, one of the GOATs, but I try to use that as my standard of focus and discipline going into a fight. I think about the fight 24/7, and I never am not thinking about the fight. I never am not thinking about my opponent. I'm never, so that's something that I maintain throughout the training camp.
Want to make him proud next Saturday with your level of performance?
Hopefully, that'd be great.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say that's something that's high in my mind. I just think that's it's always nice to be, if I was to be recognized with a great performance by some of the ones that came before me, then that'd be an awesome experience, because this is already a surreal experience just fighting at the MGM Grand on a card like this.
Yeah, what's that?
Right? It's a dream come true.
I mean, you were a little kid running around these hotel lobbies for the big fights.
I was. I was a little kid running around, sneaking in the back, sneaking in the locker room, and now I'm gonna have my own locker room. So it's surreal. I've been watching. HBO's gone. Showtime though was the other one that just really. They're legends. Like there's a lot of the new platforms that boxing is playing on, and they do a great job. But Showtime, HBO, they were the ones that I grew up on, and that made me such a huge fan of the sport from the time that I was 8 years old and younger, watching these fights and legendary moments and fights. And some of those same Hall of Famers are going to be commentating my fight, on the night. So. Not saying I've made it because I gotta win this fight, but if I were to say I get injured, if I never fought again, this would be one of the highlights of my life.
It's something in and of itself. Yeah,
it's one of the highlights of my life.
Because this is the first big step in the pro, right? The first,
for sure. You know, it's it wasn't guaranteed. You know, I had a lot of my amateur teammates were just as not more talented, you know, just as accomplished as amateurs. And you think when you're young that it's just a given, right? You're like, oh, we're gonna be on pay-per-view one day. We're gonna go and we're gonna fight. No, it wasn't a given. You know, a lot of, if not all of those guys haven't gotten to that point, and it's not based on anything that I've done. I just, you know, I thank God for being here, and it wasn't a given. So now I just gotta make sure that I you know, don't take it for granted and cherish the moments and, you know, enjoy it.
Now, just to lighten it up for a sec, because there's a lot of intensity, especially when you were talking about, you know, the birth of your daughter earlier. But is this not technically Mexican versus Mexican war? Are we not promoting that angle enough? Because Mama Spencer is Mexican, I believe. You know, we gotta get some of that going to promote the fight.
I don't know. You say that. You might.
I'm doing.
Be the one to do that.
There you go.
I don't know. Maybe that's where I get, because I've got something inside of me that people haven't necessarily gotten to see yet, and this might be the one. This might be the one where they see it, because you know, I've got some tough people in my family for sure. I was raised a certain way, and I wasn't raised in the ghetto or anything or in the streets, but anybody who knows my family knows, and for generations, you know, my family's from the hills of West Virginia, and I was raised a certain way. I was raised with a certain type of, I don't know, grit, you know, a lot of hardworking people, a lot of just fight at the drop of a hat, you know, grit like no other. And that's for, like I said, generations and generations. I've witnessed a lot. I've witnessed a lot of that in my life, and it raised us, you know, me, my cousins, you know, everybody. That's how we were raised, and I've got that in me on a high level. So I'm looking forward to showing it, because it's going to come out at some point, because it just also happens that I was raised on very technical boxing. I've been a student of the game since I was a kid. You know, like you said, I witnessed Andre Ward for years. You know, but when it comes down to it, I'm not gonna lay down for anybody. So.
Well, I believe what you're saying about your family. Your dad's just looks like a savage. I mean, he's always so nice to me. But he's kind of a scary cat. But do we see it come out in the left hook to the body in this fight?
Oh man, well, you know, I'm gonna hit him everywhere with everything. So, you know, I'm sure that'll be included in there.
And you touched on the athleticism earlier. Is that what's going to be the main difference in this fight for you, though? Is the athleticism?
Oh, we'll see. We'll see. You know, I really don't know until we get in there. Like, people think, you know, I was watching something the other day where somebody was saying that, like I said, I pay attention more so just from a strategic perspective, but I was seeing somebody say, oh, you know, Joey, you picked this fight because you saw maybe some vulnerability, something that you can, you know, take advantage of in Ramos. That's not true. That's not the case. This was the fight in the top 10 that I felt like I could get. So then I called him out. I think Ramos is a great guy, great fighter. So that's not why, because I saw weakness in him or anything. I think it's going to be a great fight. I think it's going to be a fight where we're going to have to dig deep, and we're going to have to see who's the better man on the night. So that's why I picked that fight. So I think highly of him, and I think that it's also going to bring the best out of me.
Yeah, because he is in the top 10, right? So if you beat him, that's your spot. Right. And it'll be an interesting.
That's why I wanted the fight.
Be an interesting matchup of power. Two different types of power.
Different types of power. Yep.
You're the more explosive type. He's the more heavy-handed, you know, timing kind of power. So yeah, we'll see, man. Before I let you go, though, kind of similar. You know, I know you've been close with Caleb Plant in the past, and it's almost in some ways he's fighting a southpaw, or you're fighting a southpaw. He's not, but it's in some ways you guys have similar challenges on your hands. These tough Mexican American punchers, and how do you see his? Do you agree with that? And how do you see his fight going?
And they're both from Arizona too.
Right. Oh wow, right.
So I think that's interesting. You know, Caleb's always been, you know, and his team has always been great to me, and I definitely support him. I know him not great, but I know him better than I do Benavidez, and But I also, for that reason, I do support that boxing style because, like you said, it is similar. It's a similar matchup. Ramos and Benavidez fight similar, and Caleb generally fights more technically, but can also put you to sleep. And I feel like that's similar here. So definitely think that that's another 50-50 fight where it's going to be up to who is able to implement their game plan better. Caleb's got to go out there and implement his game plan for 12 rounds, and so does Benavidez, and whoever does it better and brings better game plan to the table is going to probably get the win. I think that's basically what it comes down to on that night, because they're both great fighters. I mean, Benavidez looks like an absolute monster right now, and so does Caleb. So it's going to come down to fight IQ, game plan, who can keep their head on straight. I believe Benavidez, he's been talking a lot, and I feel like maybe that has something to do with trying to draw Caleb out of his game plan. So it's going to be about who keeps their head on straight and is able to maintain their composure.
Well, some people are looking at it as like a lack of composure from David.
Yeah, and it may be, but it also may be strategic.
Right, that's the first time I've heard someone say it's strategic.
It may be, because if you think about it, it would definitely benefit Benavidez, or it seemed to on paper if Benavidez was able to get Caleb to just fight a dog fight and maybe fight with emotion. There's usually more than what meets the eye. Maybe there's not. Maybe he does just genuinely hate him that much. So we're gonna find out on the night. I'm sure they're just gonna throw down either way, because at the end of the day, these are the type of fights where the stakes are high enough to where you don't even need to hate the person. You just got to go out there and win. Caleb's back's up against the wall, and so does Benavidez. They've put a lot of talk into this, and this is for bragging rights and pride, and maybe a future shot at Canelo. So they gotta bring everything they've got.
Just lastly on that fight, like you said, Benavidez looks like a monster. I got to see him in Seattle, and he was a monster in person. Yeah. So with that said, just how much would it say about Caleb if he pulls this off against this big 26-year-old Mexican monster? What would that say about Caleb?
Oh, it'd say a lot.
Yeah.
It'd be a great story, because sometimes some of the greatest stories are when you take a loss and you come back and you're able to do something bigger. And you saw Ali lost to Frazier and came back and beat George Foreman, and that's what makes that story so amazing. It doesn't mean that staying undefeated isn't an amazing story too. It's just they're different. They're different stories, but they're all going to the same destination of greatness, and there's just different routes. And sometimes fans will think, oh, he lost, he's done. Caleb already proved that wrong, and then now to come in and win a fight like this would really be proving it wrong. So that would be a great story. Benavidez, similar. He's had setbacks, not with losses, but he's had setbacks. So to come in and right that wrong, it just proves that nothing's ever final. You can always just either whoever wins just proves that nothing's final and that you can dust yourself off, get back up, and keep fighting. You can make it. So
will your fight be the fight of the night, you think, though? Or
it could be.
Yeah,
it could be. It's hard to say, because I guarantee you that Plant and Benavidez is gonna be incredible. But I definitely think they can be on that level. People are gonna. I think it just is gonna be a great fight. I think it depends on how dominant I am. I think if it depends on what he's able to bring. Because like you said, I'm a technical fighter. But if I need to, I can draw something deep from within me and bring it out, and then we're gonna throw down. So it depends on where the fight leads, So but it definitely could steal the show for sure.
And last question, man, definitely about your fight. We've seen guys lose fights where they were the more talented guy, the more skilled guy, but the other guy was just in better shape. Will that not be the case in this fight with Ramos?
Oh, no. He's got 10 rounds to break me, and that's not going to happen. It's only 10 rounds. It's only 12 rounds. If it was a 12-round fight, it's only 12 rounds. He'd need not a lot longer than that to break me. So we're going to see. But that's definitely not going to be the case. I'm in dog shape.
Thank you, Joey. Thanks, brother. See you fight week coming up, and March 25th, man, on pay-per-view, undefeated versus undefeated.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Thank you, brother.
See you guys there.